just here's the new turbo. I think I might have told you that I was contemplating getting a different turbo. And I think the only reason, because this ends up being about the same turbo, the only difference is that the turbine wheel is not clipped. And I think that's, excuse me, and I think that's the major part of the issue here. This wheel here does not have the cuts in it. So, and this is a ceramic ball bearing turbo too, so supposedly it's supposed to spin up faster. So like if you guys saw where the boost was coming on, it comes on real gradual. It's almost like a boost by gear. So the boost starts to build, I think, just after 4,000 RPM, something like that. And I've just moved it up to 15 pounds. And believe it or not, it's running off of 24-pound injectors, and the air-fuel ratio is spot on at full boost. Now I realize that these are 24-pound injectors, and I realize that 24-pound injectors at 15 pounds of boost, the fuel pressure, which I haven't checked yet, and I'm going to before I swap over to this, is, I'm sure, excessively high. Okay, so, and one of the things I did was, as a result of that, I'm carrying one of these now with me, just in case. Okay, a little, I'm going to mount it here shortly, but I know there are speaker wires underneath the carpet that I had to be careful about before I mount it. But I had been wanting to do that for a long time, even before all this boost, all this fuel pressure. So it comes with a bag. It's got a, and this is a turbo. It's from CX Racing. Now, I don't mind buying all the evidence out there for eBay turbos. I mean, they're pretty good. But I do believe that it does matter who you buy from. And CX Racing is one of those companies that I've seen most of the videos that people do on these things end up being pretty good. But of course, I know for the money, this one here was about 340 bucks. And I know that in the end, a lot of people can get a $140 one and stuff like that. But again, these are supposed to be made in the USA. Well, I should say put together in the USA. So, you know, what does that mean? It just means they ship all this crap from China and put it together over here. But I think they go through a little bit better R&D process. At least that's what they say. And in the end, isn't that all we can do is just go off what people say? You've heard me rail on China. You've heard me rail on them people before. Not Chinese, but it's just the Chinese product. And I get it. I know why all this is happening. I know where it's coming from. And I know the reasons behind it. And as long as that market's still there. I mean, I've been burnt on my HKS blow-off valve and stuff before. Yeah. And it's just like your mama told you. But, well, my mom told me. I don't know if your mama's told you. But if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Nothing in life is free, and so on and so forth. But we keep imagining it, don't we? We think we're going to get a $400 HKS blow-off valve for 48 bucks. Yeah. So, but anyway, we live and learn. But I think this is going to be a good deal here. Again, it's a ceramic ball bearing turbo, supposed to spool up quicker than the one that I have, a regular setup. So it comes like this. It's got all these plugs in it and stuff, and of course you take it off. This is a T3 flange. So this is, from what I understand, it's going to be the AR housing on this thing. It's a 63 on the exhaust side. So it's at this point in the recording of this video, it dawns on me that my Chinese friends got me once again. The dang turbo was supposed to be a 48 turbine with I think I wanted a 63 compressor. Oh my gosh. Anyway, you'll see in a second, I'm going to show you this plate on here. I mean, I wrote on the review when I sent this thing back that it's almost like they, you know, have a grab bag of turbos and you order a specific turbo and they just pull one out and ship it to you. And you keep it, you don't, you don't. And if it's right, most people just keep it. Oh, well, it'll probably work okay. They expect some punk kid, you know, to be putting it on their car. But anyway, I'll show you a little bit more of this turbo, and then I'm going to show you the one I actually got. But even then, it didn't work out too good. Oh my gosh. Little video segment here. But it comes and it's got this little deal here. It's a TRB, which stands for turbo, TO4E 6048. So it's a 60 and a 48 AR, I believe is what it is. And I don't know what the 4BR is, but there's a serial number for whatever that would be worth. But yeah. Yeah, no oil in the center section. But it looks pretty. I saw in some of these eBay turbos, they're wanting you to, they think it's a good idea to disassemble them and clean them. And that's kind of why I went with this one, because I think for these, you're not really going to have to do that. A little bit higher product, and it's already been quote unquote tested and all this other stuff. So we'll see. So I'm going to swap this one over. And like I said, I did move ahead and go, and I am running 14 pounds of boost. I did that because another YouTuber who has a Saturn as well, he's running a stock head gasket, pretty much he says a stock pump. He went with larger injectors though, it sounds like 330 or something like that. I tried those, and I have those. But the startup was so horrific, and I knew all that raw fuel was dumping into the oil pan, and I didn't want to deal with that. So once it warmed up, yes, it was doable, but I found that the 24 pounders with the high volume, the high pressure pump, the Walbro, the 255 high pressure, I've had no problems running the 24 pounders, and now I'm hitting 14 pounds and the air fuel ratio is just perfect, you know, right where I need it at full boost. I haven't had any detonation issues, nothing like that. But again, my fuel pressure is probably sky high pushing those. So yes, the goal is to run the correct injectors that makes the fuel pressure more reasonable when I get the Unichip installed. But I'm wanting to see if this stock head gasket can handle the 14 pounds. The gentleman that's running his says he's hitting 17 and higher on a stock head gasket. I would think, though, before I would do something like that, personally, I would probably end up posting the block or pinning the block or something to give me a little bit of stability from rocking the cylinders inside there. So, I don't know. I want to change over the... I can't get past the fact that I don't have the whistle like I'd wanted. That was some of the point of going to. I know it's a silly thing to kind of harp on, but I do want the whistle. I want that turbo sound like you have in the first clip as I'm driving down the road. And it was there until I put on the dang resonators back here. So I'm going to cut those off, just run pipes where they're at, and move and weld both of those resonators together and put them midway. And remember on the walk under that I did here not long ago, you have those air exchangers, heat exchangers for the inlet side. I'm going to take those off. That'll give me the space I need to sandwich both of those resonators next to the return pipe. So I'll have plenty of room. And I got a guy I found at Midas that's interested in this kind of stuff, and he's going to help me out. And so he's the one that actually did the flex pipe when it was leaking. So I think I got him on board to help me out and do the stuff that I need to have done. But now let's do round two. Oh crap. All right, round two with the replacement turbo. Oh my gosh. So I can tell you this much. The Japanese, the Chinese, okay. Sport JDM, specializing in turbos, performance parts and accessories. JDM. Now, I guess I'm going to report first on the function of the intercooler. Exactly like I thought. Well, the JDM didn't help much, but it did lower my engine temps, but it allowed the intake temps to creep up some by about 7 or 8 degrees. Being that I'm in this hot area down here, I'm gonna, it's half a dozen of one or 6. So it's the same thing. If I go with a thicker intercooler like I had before, I get less flow through the radiator, through the condenser and then to the radiator, and my engine runs hotter, which hurts performance. And I'll have lower intake temps, which cooler air is denser air, takes more fuel, can make more power. Or go this way. So I'm going to go this way for a little bit. I still have the other one if I, for some reason, change. And then I have a bigger intercooler that I had on that one drag build that I had. And I may take it off and use it and see what it does. So we'll see. Of course, the bigger intercooler, there's going to be more of a pressure drop as it fills that up and things like that. So I have to increase boost a little bit or something. But anyway, I was happy with it. So now, back to the turbo saga. So I ordered a turbo from CX Racing, which I did a little research online. And as you saw in that last clip, I had ordered the turbo, got it here, and I had specifically asked for a 4863. I think it was just the same turbo, but a 48 turbine and 60 or 60. I might even ask for a 60, for 48 and 60, because the one I have on there now is a 48 turbine and a 63. And but remember, the turbine wheel on the one I have on the car is clipped, and I feel strongly that is the reason why it builds boost in kind of like a boost by gear fashion, where it just kind of creeps up like that instead of going right up to it. So I debated with the idea of actually getting a different turbo, but I didn't want to buy a Garrett. Now the one that's on there is a Garrett. It's a true Garrett. It's a TA31 TO4E. But it has the old Chrysler exhaust housing, which, if you'll remember, I caught hell trying to find a flange for that, and I didn't want to weld it directly to here in case I changed something in the future. Anyway, so up to now, that's been working good. But before I put the unit chip on, in other words, I don't want to put the unit chip on and then it come to be, and once I get the unit chip on, I've tuned it right with the setup here where it comes on slowly. So I've went into where the boost creeps up, and I've added fuel, took away timing, whatever along that curve. And then, so okay, I want to get boost on earlier. So now then I'd have to go in and retune, because now boost comes up real quick. I've got to, there's changes on it. And so I wanted to go ahead and have the setup that I'm going to have on it, and then go ahead and put the unit chip on. Then I want to tune what I'm going to be working with, basically. So I kept the 48 housing, which, if you go by these things, yes, this is a 48 housing. And yes, this is an AR-50. Now, I went with an AR-50 because if the clipped wheel is cured by having a non-clipped 48 housing, then boost should start to build maybe about the same, but it'll build. But once it gets to where it was going to build, it builds it quickly. Well, the smaller wheel in here will help build it quickly as well. So this is more or less a T3 turbo instead of a T3 T4, basically. The M12 don't mean crap. I mean, on Garrett's and stuff like that, it's for sure. But, they do give you these. I don't even know why they waste their time putting these little things on here. I mean, it's not like I could get online, go hunt the bearings and such for that serial number there, and find like a rebuild kit for it. You know, Lord knows you'll probably never be able to rebuild these, but on the up and up, it seems like it's okay. The bearings spin really good. There is no play back and in and out, which is important, okay, for the thrust bearing. You are going to have some wheel play this way, like you see here. It's okay that if that plays there, as long as you're not having any contact with the wheel, with the blades when you do that, you're going to be okay. And plus, there's no oil in here. Once there's oil in here, it'll kind of tighten up the gap in between what you have there, and it should work okay. I'm hoping that, you know, with this thing being physically about the same size, I'm hoping that everything bolts up and everything's just right. What I expect, though, to be quite honest with you, and I've said this in the past, it looks like this was used before, because look, and I'm going to write them and tell them that there is actually some old residue on here from some silicone. Someone siliconed this flange. So that means it's been used before, and this is listed as brand new. So more than likely somebody felt it didn't spool up right or didn't boost right, wanted to send it back, and they did, but they listed it as brand new. So they'll be hearing from me on this. But the first turbo I got was from the CX Racing, which when I did research on it showed that they had a better, you know, feedback for their turbos that they had. And believe it or not, I paid $380 for that turbo. This one I paid $180. And I was leery. There was ones that looked exactly like this for $160, $130. It just got worse. And I figured, maybe wrongly, that the more you have to pay for one of these things, maybe it's going to be better. I don't know. But, I mean, when you look at this thing, do you see how this bolt is lined up with this ear? That bolt's lined up with that ear. This bolt with this one and that one. And then look at this one. It's off. So, my thoughts are, okay, well, if this is the same size physically, can I expect then that these bolt holes will be off by an 1/8 inch forward, backward, left, right, whatever? Or these holes here? This one here has a flange on it. They say it's a 4-bolt flange. Now, I don't know, there's a 5-bolt, I believe, that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Usually there's a hole here, and there's a bolt hole here and a bolt hole here. Well, I'm about to find out, but these bolt holes here, let's hope that they're lined up completely, you know, to where this flange works on here. So I'm going to test fit it right here and see. Let's look down in here. Let me just see real quick. On the surface, it looks like it's going to be okay, and of course it's centered okay there. So, yeah. I'm going to write back, and I'm going to tell them, you know, what I find here, because this has clearly been, you can see on there, you see that residue from the, like, gray RTV right there? So, it's clearly not new. It's been used before. And that's, I get it. It's dicey when you order these. I was excitedly anticipating it getting here so that I can get it swapped out, all the while thinking I'm going to go through this whole thing, go on my first run, hear a noise, and this thing's come apart inside. You know, that's just the chance you take. Yeah, because you look here, you can see actually, see the RTV right there on that bolt right there. You see that little sliver of it right there? So this has definitely been used before. So we'll go in there real quick and we'll figure out what the deal is and see what they're going to do. I suspect they'll just say, oh, send it back for a refund. Because that's what happened with that other turbo. I wrote them and I said, hey, this AR housing is a 63, and I don't even know what the AR housing is for the compressor. Oh, send back. We send you back correct one. I said, do you have the correct one to send back? Oh, sure. Send back. We like refund or exchange? I said, exchange, but please make sure you send me the turbo I want. Of course. As soon as the turbo gets there, I get a message. We give you credit. That turbo not in stock. Okay. So then I go hunt more of their offerings and I see ones that I want. So, okay, do you have this one? Oh, no, sorry. How about this one? Nope. Literally. N-O-P-E period. So I said to hell with that, and I reviewed the hell out of them, and I did get my money back, though. That was because then I went into the return policy, and it almost sounded like, for any reason, if they did send you the wrong turbo, tough titty kitty. You have to return the return shipping. They're not, you don't have to give you a refund. It was just, obviously we're supposed to check this stuff before we order these parts, but we don't. So I didn't want to go through all this only to find out the thing is, completely ass, and let's say this turbo is completely 100% good. It does its job just like it would if it was a Garrett or whatever. Well, if it doesn't fix my boost lag problem, it was all for nothing anyway. But I suspect that obviously a clipped wheel, I know what a clipped wheel does. It allows more gas to bypass this wheel until it gets higher in the RPM band, then it'll spin it up. And that's for, like, say just for instance, this turbo was a max, the flow, they figured a 300 horse turbo. Well, when you clip the wheel, it'll flow better a little bit higher in the RPM band, and it won't be as much of a restriction, okay? Because that's important. Why didn't I put the old T25 on this thing so I could have quick spool, even mounted in the back to combat any perceived, lag? Was because I want to run more horsepower, and the T25, its housing can't support that much horsepower because it's so small. So I wanted to go with a little bit bigger, but not so much bigger that, the thing takes forever to spool up. So finding that happy medium right here, I think the 48-hour housing is the answer if the turbine wheel's not clipped. So I'm hoping that this thing will spin up faster now because it's not a clipped wheel. And in particular, with this being a smaller wheel from the 63 versus the 50, I'm hoping that as a result of that, it spins up even that much quicker. I would love boost to come on around 3,500 and have full boost there. That would be great. That would fix my problems. So, if this does fix the problem, then now I can put the unit chip on. I know where my boost comes on. I know where to take away timing. I know where to add fuel. The bigger injectors go in. I'll be able to push the boost even higher, and then I can take timing out there where I want to. So I can tune the dang thing, but I want the boost to come on sooner. That's my main goal. Again, I don't think it's a lag problem. If this turbo does what I want it to do, this size turbo, for the amount of horsepower I want to run, yes, if I want to run 450 horsepower, I'm going to have to run a turbine big enough to flow that. And of course, the bigger turbine I get, the worse the lag, the response will be. So there's going to be a point of diminishing returns where, this thing can only flow so much, but if I want more horsepower, I got to go bigger. If I go bigger, turbo lag will ensue. I'll have to, and I will be able to, with the unit chip, I'll have to take away the rev limit, but I don't have any high revving valve train, and who knows what the Saturn block will do revving it to $9,000 or whatever you would want to take it to in order to get up there and take advantage of that high horsepower of that much larger turbine housing and so on and so forth. So I'm not trying to do any of that. I mean, if I could get away with 300 to 400 horsepower, that's enough for a front wheel drive car on the street without it being a total dog. I think that's doable. 350 to 4. That's this light of a car. That son of a gun will move. And I'll be happy with that. I got my Viper for anything else I might want. So it's no big deal. So anyway, little update. I'll get this thing on there and get some answers with that, find out about this, and man, cross our fingers. Now, it's right about here that I start remembering that the turbo is supposed to come with some gaskets. You know, a little gasket set. It's the inlet to the feed line flange and the outlet flange gasket, and a metal gasket for the T3 flange. So I start looking around for it. It's in the bag. I will say this about the CX Racing one. They had like you saw in the video, there was a bag full of stuff, probably cheap as hell too, and you still gotta wonder if the threads are right or if the bolts are too long. The stupid details that they omit. Well, now there's no question this thing's been used, and this quick little last segment here shows you that. I hate this crap, but again, like I said, you can't think you're getting a quality piece of anything. I mean, in the realm of turbos, you should be paying $2,000 for this turbo, but you're paying $180. Just like anything else, you go to Vegas and purchase a hooker out there, $2,000, $5,000, however much it is. You go down to Fifth Ward in Houston and pay $20. You're gonna have to pay a copay to figure out why your pee-pee is trying to fall off. So you get what you pay for is the bottom line. Anyway, let's finish this mess up. I'm gonna put this turbo on more than likely. I've contacted the seller, and I'm gonna see if they'll just give me a credit, some money credit or something. I mean, I can get these gaskets no problem. The problem is it was listed as new, and I already know their answer. You just send back. We send you back good one. And it was supposed to come with these seals. You can see this one's been installed before. It's put back in the bag, and look at this bent ass metal gasket here. So yeah, this shit ain't new.